It's Thursday. What are you doing, you big? It's 8 o'clock and it's the Big Detecting Show. Good evening, Adrian.
Hello, David. How are you? Good evening,
tired.
everyone.
How are
in the
you?
Chat. I'm tickety-boo, thanks. Healthy, COVID-free.
You said that to me before the show as well.
What, tickety-boo?
I know, yeah.
I don't know. I'm all good. I'm all good. And you're
Marvellous.
good? I was just cleaning my teeth. No, I wasn't. Look. I got this.
Oh, that's sexy. What's that?
It's... Oh, I don't know. I can't read it. It's my eyes. Too much. I've got hairy palms as well. Milled silver and copper coin cleaning solution from Composite Cleaning Pencil Company, which you can reuse. So you pour it out. And I've been testing it, and it's really, really good. So, yeah. And it comes with a toothbrush.
I look forward to a review.
I've used it on my teeth as well, but that needs to work quite hard to sort them out.
I look forward to a review.
Yeah, be coming out soon. And I also got one of these this week.
What's that? A seatbelt?
Yes, a seatbelt for a 1982 Austin Allegro. No,
Sweet.
It's for aluminium arm cuff for the Equinox 800, and also I've got a folding control foot box thing as well. They're really good, so I'll be talking about those soon.
Check the bad stuff out.
But luckily we're on air. But this time tomorrow night, we'll all be in our bunkers.
Well, I won't.
We've got a war looming. Got no power. We'll have no power tomorrow. No,
We're hard up. You know what they say when it's weather like this up north? Put big coats on.
More coal on the sorry.
Put a big coat. Put a big coat on.
Oh,
not like you namby pambies down there.
We're not namby pambies.
You've got nothing, have you? You've got nothing. Good evening, everybody in the chat room.
Sorry, it's getting racist again. Northern and Southern divide. We've got a really nice guest coming on tonight. Which we have indeed. I discovered Alexander probably about a year ago on YouTube, and there's a lot of YouTubers out there, and they all do a great job. But Alexander was just a bit different. It was a bit like watching a television program, I felt. He's not sponsored by anyone. He just goes out there and detects. He loves the sports countryside scene. And I'm sure those who haven't watched his channel will watch it after tonight's show, because it's a great YouTube channel.
Certainly a breath of fresh air, isn't he?
Yeah, it is. It's well put together, and I'm intrigued on how well he does all his. There's no flashy animations or anything. It's just out in the field, metal detecting, find something, go home, research it, and he's got 2 YouTube channels.
I'm surprised how he's got the time.
That's a good question.
It will be a good question.
I spend a lot of time in the field, but I don't put it on YouTube. So, a lot of people say, I find a lot of stuff, but that's because I'm blinking out there all the time. But I don't put it on the Book of Faces or anything.
And I've got to say, kudos to last week's guest as well. Not only was he exceptional, not only is in the process of sorting out a challenge for me and you, but people were actually saying, oh my God, this is one of the worst guests ever, and turned off and said they won't watch again.
Well, they're
lunatics.
They're the people who we don't want watching. So if you don't like it, you don't pay for it. So just go away and watch.
Well, I thought he was an exceptional guest. I mean, how many people can stop me and you making comments that are of a double entendre nature by destroying us with medieval sexual education?
Well, we are going to be having a bake-off on the show based on his with medieval dish.
We are.
So, yeah. Anyway.
We are indeed. Without further ado, shall we bring Alexander onto the show?
Yes.
Good evening, Alexander. How are you?
Hi. Thank you very much for having me.
No, thanks.
It's an absolute pleasure you coming on the show. There's a lot of people who we would like on the show, but we don't necessarily have the way of getting in communication with them. And it was only because of one of Adrian's friends, James, who's give us a push that we've been able to communicate with you. So it's delightful having you here this evening.
Very good to be here, guys. Thank you.
Thanks. I hate saying this question, Alex. Do you want to introduce yourself, or shall I say no? Do you just want to introduce yourself?
Well, yeah, I'll do my best. My name's Alexander. I've probably been detecting for about 10 years, not as long as you guys, I suppose. Good question from Dave is how I have the time to do all this. Well, it's that I'm an antiques. My day job is an antiques dealer. I do mainly English furniture, and a lot of this. I don't actually stuff these myself, Dave. I'm not the tax.
Oh, do you know he wants the badger for Adrian, but that's another story.
I can get you a badger, Adrian, but I won't have.
Seriously?
Yeah, I've got a couple, and I was going to bring one on today. But it's in the back of one of my big sort of barns, and it's in the big glass case. It's huge. It's about that sort of size.
They're big beasts. Yeah,
they are quite biggish animals. And if you've got a Victorian case, which I don't have to hand, but there's quite a lot of groundwork and stuff goes on in the background. It's not just the animal. You have the hills and the grass and a bit of tree stump or something. And quite often they might be looking over a rock and there's a little rabbit or a mole or something underneath them. I mean, they can be quite, come here. They can be quite, quite intricate.
Oh, here he is. Oh,
he gets very jealous when I'm talking to people. He can tell that I'm talking to someone. So
Adrian's the same with me.
Yeah. No, Tasky. I've seen a lot of people. They love your channel, and bringing a dog on really does.
Do you know what? He was brilliant when he was a pup because he stopped really close, but he's a Jack Russell Terrier and he's a year and a bit old now. And even though he's pretty good at coming back, if he puts something up like a deer or a hare or a rabbit, he will go. So if I'm on fields I don't know well, or if I'm near roads or guns or anything like that, I've got to be really careful with him because he will shoot off. He will come back, but initially he'll go. And as a puppy, he stopped really close. But nowadays, I've got to be really on it. I can't completely relax if I'm detecting with him.
Really? How old is he?
He's about 14 months.
Oh, yeah. I just got a.
I can't relax when I'm metal detector with Adrian again. Same problem.
No.
I keep shooting off.
I've got an 10-week-old border collie, Alex, and it's a bit carnage at the moment in the house. But I'm hoping I can train her up. I've had a collies before.
She'll stay. She should stay close. The terrier in these goes off. The killing instinct's so strong in them, whereas you've got a herding dog, hopefully. So it won't necessarily want to go and chase stuff.
Yeah, yours will just come back with a load of deer, Adrian.
No, I wish you did. But so you've been detecting for 10 years, Alexander.
Yeah.
And you, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but you seem to be well educated. You've got a business. And you like the country scene, sporting scene. I presume you shoot as well.
I shoot and fish a bit, yeah.
Yeah. And detecting is perfectly in the mix. But there's not many people who shoot, fish, and detect. They tend to be. I mean, I just think it's not seen. I don't think as a sporting activity in the countryside. Metal detecting. A lot of people see it as, I don't know, I don't like saying a poor man's hobby, but they think we're all out there to find gold and sort of pawn it off. But what made you suddenly, because you probably fished and shot before you detected, what made you suddenly think, oh, I'm out in the country, I've got land I can go on, I'm going to try detecting?
Well, I grew up on a farm. And I remember quite a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I remember people coming up to the farm office where my father worked as the farmer and saying, Charles, can I have a go? Do you mind if I have a go? And he would be really good at letting pretty much anyone who wanted to have a go, providing, he said, just show me what you find. And that leads me on to a bit of a bugbear of mine when it does come to people gaining permissions. It's really hard gaining permissions.
Yeah.
And I do like to think that, I was very lucky because I saw in my old man someone who was letting people on the land because he wasn't doing it himself and he was happy for other people to do it, providing they came and showed him what they had, which wasn't, never very much. But I used to do a lot of fossil hunting in the fields as a child and bird watching and all that sort of stuff. Detecting came much later and really sort of by chance, actually. I always had it in the back of my mind as something which would be really fun to do because the magpie in me wants to collect things.
Yeah.
Wants to find stuff and, keep stuff, hoard stuff slightly. But but detecting wasn't really sort of at the forefront of anything for a long time until I bought a detector by complete chance at a car boot fair for 50p. And I actually, believe it or not, I dug it out. You probably know what this is.
My daughter had one of those. Yeah. I think that's Maplin, I think.
Yeah. No, it's not. I looked it up just now. It's called Radio Shack.
Oh, yeah, American Radio Shack.
Radio plastic thing. Oh, look, there you go.
It's a broken one.
It was so broken.
Worth nothing now.
that it made a sound until it went over something. I bought it for 50p in a car boot and I took it out in the garden and it beeped away until I went over something and it stopped beeping. And it was a Victorian farthing and I was just completely hooked.
Wow.
And that was just, it was like a being hit over the head with a sledgehammer. I put this aside, started doing some research on entry-level metal detectors. And within about 3 weeks, I bought a Garrett Ace 250. And that was 10 years ago. I never looked back. And that was all because of a chance buy at a car boot fair for 50p.
Yeah. I think I've still
Best
got
50p
mine.
you've sent.
Well,
Yeah.
Or the worst, Dave.
Yes. So I see you still use that today, and that's good.
I tried to get it working the other day, but the battery things are so corroded that it won't work.
Is that 8 AA's in there or 6?
Yeah, Walkman batteries, Adrian, we call them.
Yeah, sorry, Walkman.
Yeah, it takes about 6. But it did work, or rather, it never worked because it made a sound until you went over something, and then it stopped. So it went,
Yeah.
And that's why it was 50p. But by that stage, I'd found my farthing, and that was it.
That's amazing. And it's a good machine to go for, the Garrett Ace 250. How long did you have that for before you?
I had that for about 3 years.
Right.
And then when I realized I was serious about it, I thought, well, I better upgrade. But I took the 250 out quite recently, and I didn't find anything in it with it.
Really?
I found it really, really hard.
Yeah, I think one thing you then migrated to the XP Deus Lite, which
Adrian and Dave, I've lost you. I'm now just right. There we go.
That's because Dave is clever. He's
he's not clever. Dave's playing.
So people can see me now, Alex, and when you're on the screen, they see you. So that's
very good. Thank you.
So you then went for the XP Deus Lite, which you still use today.
Yeah.
And you've had some great finds with that over the years, haven't you? From your channel.
Yeah, it's a good machine. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, it doesn't suit everyone. And if every time I read about a sort of a Nox Deus battle, the Nox always seems to come out on top. But I think it certainly suits me. But I've only used this, the Ace 250, and the Deus, so I'm not experienced with a load of different machines.
No, but one thing I would say that I've noticed on your YouTube channel with yourself, which a lot of people forget to do, is you associate sound with the Deus Lite. You've got no VDI display or anything. You go by the sound, and you've had that machine for quite a few years now, and you've got a Crotal bell. You know before you dig it, don't you?
Yeah, well, to a big degree, I do find that if you haven't been out for a while or you're in a new field, you have to learn the sounds. Almost not again, but you've got to reacquaint yourself with what's what. But it takes a very short amount of time to know. Right, that's coke. That'll be foil. That'll be nice. That'll be a bit iffy, but I'll do it anyway. It doesn't. From one day to the next, I do find you've got to sort of slightly reacquaint yourself. It's quite interesting. If you're on pasture or arable or dry or wet, it's all going to sound slightly different. But I mean, people keep saying you must get the box, get the remote. You'll be so much more successful, etc. Well, it suits me not to have all that. I just quite like just relying on the ears, and being able to switch off slightly. If you've got a thing to look at the whole time, then I mean, I do like switching off. I like to be out in the country, and if it's quiet, just the machine will still run. You can still hear it in your ears. And if something good happens, then you'll know it. But if you're always looking at something, you can never quite completely relax doing something.
I can second that. I have quite a few machines myself. I'm fortunate to have through testing them for Treasure Hunting magazine. And a few months ago, I was given a machine by Deep Tech in Bulgaria, and it's literally 7 knobs on the control panel, no display. Yeah. And it's a 2-tone machine, and I went out, and it was lovely. It was literally, you're right, you're just looking around, you hear a signal, and you think, oh, it's a bit scratchy, oh, that's not great. And I enjoyed myself so much more, and I actually dug more because I didn't rely on a hodograph display or a reading, and I found a gold noble with it.
Did you really?
I found a medieval steelyard weight. I found some and hammers. I found some.
When you say it's just the 2 tones, so is it sort of just iron and mono?
Yeah. You get a bit in between, so it's like ding. Like if you get one way, it's a bing, and the other way, it's a. That you've got a shotgun cartridge potentially, but and I thought it made me realise that if you do want to go out and have a you don't want to dig deep. You just want to enjoy the day and the scenery, and you just want to detect. And if you find something good, if you don't, and other days you want to go out and you desperately want to find the best you can, which most of us do. But it can be tiring sometimes. Have I got the right program? Have I got the right settings and all this? But yeah, the deep tech machine I've still got it. It's fantastic, and I'm fortunate to have different machines for different days. If I want to, XP Deus, the thing that really does me with it is it's so light. It is so light and so nice, and they last ages. I mean, 12 years that machine's been out.
I've heard of that the knot that attaches the coil going and the shaft going. I've never had to replace anything on the.
No, my second coil on my Equinox broke this week. So I've had to sort that out. But yeah, it's very well made, and it's 5-year guarantee as well.
Well, it can settle something for us then. If it was literally down to the Nox or the Deus, and you had to stop using one, which would you stop using?
What, the original Deus or because you got the Deus 2 now?
Well, let's say the original Deus. Let's wait for the Deus 2 to really find its feet.
I do feel the Nox gets better depth.
But the
Deus, the recovery, I know the Deus better than the Nox, so it's a hard one, but it's a tough one. It especially as the prices are going to change, I presume soon. Yeah. I would say for me, my age, I'm nearly 50. Yeah. When I go detecting, when I go detecting, Alexander, I'm like a child. I will I'm like a dog, a puppy. I keep going and going and going. And we're talking 8-9 hours. Yeah. So an Equinox for me personally, because of the weight, is good. I do find the Deus, the Nox.
Deuses.
I'm getting confused now. The Deus for me, the lightness, being able to take it apart and wash it in the kitchen sink without the housing manager moaning at me.
Wash it? Why are you washing it?
Oh, I polish and wash my machines after every time I go out.
OCD.
I do not like a dirty machine because it for me. I like
Adrian. Remember last week when you couldn't say things? That's
I like
third one tonight, mate.
Alexander, there's nothing worse than a dirty shaft. But yeah, it's a tough question because I do like the Equinox, but the Deus is excellent as well. So, but I love the Rutus machine as well, Rutus Alta range and the Atrex. So,
for somebody who's not used either, I can throw into the mix here. The Mind Lab, I prefer the brand because I don't know much about the Deus, but the Deus, I'd prefer the weight. There you go. That's from a complete non-starter with both products.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, you can go out of a Garrett Ace 250 and find stuff that is, like we keep saying, you've got to walk over it. But for me, I love finding stuff when I go metal detecting, but I love being able to, like Alexander said, get out the car, walk into the field, see some munkjack deer, see some rabbits, hares, go along the stream, see, the fish in the street. It's just lovely getting out in the country. And it is a great hobby.
And it's a very obvious thing to say that detecting and fishing are very similar. And they're obviously very similar. There's only one difference, is that you never lose your fish when you're detecting. If you get a signal, it's there. It might not be very good. It might be very deep. It might be crappy old iron at sort of 6 foot, but you won't lose it. Whereas if you're fishing at the very last minute, you might have the best thing ever. And just as you're getting your net to it, it'll break the hook or the line will go. Whereas detecting, you never lose your fish. So if you've got it and you found it and you're digging it, it's there. It's there to be got.
Yeah, and I think also with fishing, it is very technical now. Depending on what type of fish you go for.
Yeah, well, as much as detecting is, I reckon. I mean,
I used to fish years ago, and I picked up a fishing magazine probably a year or two ago. I think I was flying on holiday, and I I have to read on the plane, and I read this fishing magazine. Oh my god, remote control boats, boilie recipes, all these scents you can buy. I was like, flipping heck.
But then the equivalent to using the Deus Light is having a little fly rod and just one fly on the end of it and going down to a little brook and just fishing with that. You don't need anything else.
No, that's true. And that fly is something that will work on. Yeah, I think what I'm trying to get at is you've had the machine for how many years? The Deus Light?
It's about 6, coming up to 6 in April, I think. For me personally, I think not just detecting, but all circles, it's that IKEA mentality of, oh, there's a new one coming out, like the Joneses, keep up the Joneses on cars. There's so many new metal detectors coming out now. People are only having them for a year or two, not really understanding them fully, getting another new machine because it's got better specifications. And I don't know, I go back to a lot of my old machines, and I know them inside out still. And I think a lot of people, you have to sell a machine to buy a machine. A lot of people do. So it's something which I think if you did go for a new machine, which leads me on to the Deus 2. It would have to be, wouldn't it? I can't see myself wanting to try anything else particularly.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, and have you thought about the Deus 2? Because I know you did a YouTube video on it with Catherine.
I went out with Kath from the Detecting Hub, one of the the founder members of that. Mainly because she'd had one for a few weeks and she was getting quite good at it, and so we didn't get too technical. We only did about half an hour in 2 videos. So a lot of people say, oh, you should have put it on that setting, or if you didn't like the noise of the Deus 2, you could have changed it to that. But we didn't have time for that. We were she was in general and I was in the hot program on the original. And the bottom line is that the new Deus, the Deus 2, was definitely getting into signals more obviously at depth and pasture than my one. But then again, I was in the hot program, which for non-Deus users is a fairly general program. It's not a deep setted program, but I had lowered reactivity, which I always do because I like the audio response, to give a bit of extra punch. And I find that works for me in pasture. You cannot use the deep program with the Deus Light. It's just, I won't go into it now, but you just can't. So your depth programs with the Deus Light, you're slightly limited. You can ramp up the audio response if you've got the box and stuff, but I don't have that. So the hot program and just being really, you just got to really concentrate, was getting the signals. But what was very, very wispy for me was certainly more obvious on Kath's machine, and she hadn't even tweaked it to be, to go slightly deeper. She was just running in general, so no extra depth or extra audio or anything like that. And she was picking with pretty ugly sounds. I've got to say, it doesn't sound particularly pretty, that machine. But what was just that Deus-y wispy sort of high pitched wisp on her machine was definitely coming through stronger in a general setting. So God knows what it's going to be like when she gets good at, tweaking it around to get the extra depth.
Do you rely on the hot program? Is that your go-to program predominantly?
Pretty much, yeah. With the light, I mean, I've tried loads of other things, but I now prefer just to get straight into that. I change the frequency sometimes, and I change the reactivity, and that's basically it. I don't really do an awful lot more than that.
Out of interest, what frequency do you normally run on your day?
17 kilohertz.
Okay, yeah.
Because that'll find. I think if I find with the Deus, if you're just relying on, especially in pasture, those wispy sounds, and you are running in higher than 17, you're going to be digging up the smallest pieces of lead and tiny little slithers of rubbish all day long. Now, that might mean that they could be cut halves and cut quarters. But it's also very trying. But I don't want to go much sort of lower than that either. I find 17 is a good medium.
I find with I've got the original Deus and the Deus 2, and both of them still seem to pick out cartridge primers more than any other machine. They love them, and that to me is
and they sound the same as little
sound lovely.
Units.
Yeah, sound really, really nice.
Yeah, is that right? So what does a Nox? How would they come up on your other machines?
Well, I haven't dug many with the Knox at all, really. My Rutus Alta 71, I dig a lot with. The Atrex, which is the new Rutus machine, I've dug a couple, but the Deus, it just loves them. Absolutely loves them. Really, really does. But yeah,
the other thing that the Deus gets a lot of sort of jip about is it's terrible with iron, it's terrible with coke. But I don't see that. I think once you learn to know what coke sounds like, it doesn't matter how big or small it is, you won't dig it.
Well, if you've got a remote and you've got the XY screen with the sort of line, you know it's coke straight away.
Yeah. That's why I can't use the deprogram, because the coke will sound good, and I've got nothing to tell me it's coke. So it just has that lovely ding, 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 and you dig it. And if you're in a cokey area, I do quite a lot of the pasture in North Wales, and it's just coke everywhere. And I can't use the deep program in places like that because I'll just be digging up rubbish all day long because I don't have the screen. That's when I need the screen.
You're up in North Wales often then, Alexander?
My son lives up there with his mum, so I go.
Right. I'm from Ellesmere Port, which is not very far away.
Well, not very far. We're Denbigh.
All right. I'm there, North Wales, very, very often.
Yeah. It's lovely, so pretty. I don't find much there, but it's nice being out.
Yeah, and you're based in Hertfordshire.
I'm based in Hertfordshire.
Yeah. And if you've got a couple of permissions or just one? Or...
Well, I mainly do the farm I grew up on, but I'm lucky because I grew up here that I know all the local farmers anyway. I've grown up with them too. So even though there are other people detecting on the land. Those are the main places I can go to, and there are some good sites. I mean, they have been detected on a lot. I mean, the problem with the hobby, isn't it? It is diminishing returns. Once it's out, it's out. You know, fields do get quiet. We know that eventually.
Yeah, I think you get a good deep plough in.
Who does that anymore?
One of my farmers does. Which is really nice, and unfortunately, there's a few fields I've got at the moment.
I've got to work out how much I have to pay my brother who farms to deep plough it for me.
Really?
Well, they just direct drill everything these days. Once every 4 or 5 years, it might get turned over, but you know, the stubble. I was doing a field today which has still got stubble in it, and it's been drilled with beans, and the beans are coming through, and it's got last year's stubble still in it.
Yeah, the weather's been quite mild, hasn't it? It hasn't broken it down enough, I think.
Yeah.
The deep plough for me. There's one of my permissions. What do I call it? Me and my friend call it. We give it a name, and the field is constantly giving. Every year you go in.
Why does he still ploughing it then? Because that's not very sort of fashionable, is it? James, Eagle-Eyed DJ, why is he knows more agricultural stuff than me. Yeah. I don't care, but I have found so much stuff on there. Medieval, Roman, it's a huge thing. Yeah, we think it was part of an original road, because obviously in Essex, the Romans between Chelmsford and Colchester, so they obviously travelled that way. But yeah, it's just constantly giving field. I don't know why he deep ploughs it. I'm trying to think what he grows in it. I think he grows sugar beet in it. Does he? Well, I think if it's maize and sugar beet, I think you've got to, because the roots are so.
Yeah.
If all the cover crop, which is maize, always gets a proper plough, but then they're not big areas of.
No, I think I'm just looking, because I did have some questions for you, Alexander. Yes.
I've only discovered this comment section. I haven't been looking at it. Sorry.
It's everyone just saying how much they don't like you. No, it's not. There's been some really nice comments, actually. There's a lot of people talking in there. A lot of people saying, someone said you're a breath of fresh air to YouTube for the hobby.
Stephen Pettican asked for us to show Alexander's YouTube links, which are currently scrolling above the bottom of the screen. We'll be having a look at them a little bit later on. Holtzhammer Sagas and Metal Detecting Finds UK. You'll be able to find on YouTube.
Watch and subscribe. What's Holtzhammer? Am I correct in saying is German for hammer?
Do you know what I want? I'm not quite sure what it was. It was a username that I used to use. I think The Holtz I take from my surname, which is German. I think Holtz is wood in German, and I suspect Holtzhammer is a type of mallet of sorts.
Yeah.
But and I don't know if it has any other sort of undertones of meaning. I just years ago I had it as a username for sort of certain bits and pieces, and I just put it on. When YouTube asked for your name, I thought, well, I don't want to go for this. Is what, a year and a half ago. I thought I'd go for something a bit away from detecting with Alexander or detecting adventures. I thought I'd just do something a bit more, slightly more mysterious, and see how it went for me.
It's going well though. Your channel's growing quite quickly.
It's well, you say that. I think I look at a lot of other detecting channels. I mean, I don't think we take off quite like a sort of tech channel or a gaming channel. I think it's hard work. I mean, I've actually given myself probably about another 6 months or so doing it really seriously, and then I'll take a bit of a check. And if I feel that I've got to, maybe start getting back into the antiques a bit more, or buying a few more parrots and all the rest of it, because it does take up time, and it's whether that time is working for you. And as long as it's enjoyable and fun, that's one thing. But I think
that your comments on your YouTube channel and in the show tonight, a lot of people, like they said, it's like a breath of fresh air. And for me, when I watch your YouTube channel, possibly because you sold antiques, the way you portray your finds, like if I find a silver sixpence, I'll say, oh, a silver sixpence. Whereas you, don't take this the wrong way, being an antique salesman, you're able to expand on that. Yeah. And it's like this beautiful, fantastic, oh, look at it. Oh, it's lovely. And I'm like, I watch it and, oh, here we go. Is Dave going to put a clip? Oh, that's your YouTube channel. But it just enthralls me and brings me in, and it makes me, what you say is how I feel when I have a find. Do you get what I'm saying? It's sort of, and it comes across. It's nice to watch YouTube. So the longer, here we go. Oh, Dave, the blinking adverts, can't stand them.
I know, we've got to have them if we can. Though they do,
Now you're filming. Do you film on your own, or do you get someone to help you?
Nope, it's all me.
Wow.
This was a bad shot because it was so windy. I only set up one camera and I hadn't checked where it was looking. So it cut off my head, and I had no follow-up camera around to change the angle. So I had to just deal with it. And well, it's not very professional that, because it's too low, but that's I really enjoyed playing around with all the camera work and the angles and stuff. It's just something to just mix it all up a bit.
What?
And then that's something I've tried. And an American guy said to me recently, it's quite interesting. He said, okay, it's all very well saying jettons or rose farthings, but what are these things? Why? And I suddenly thought, we do assume that people know everything. So just back there, I thought, well, do you know what? If it's, instead of just saying, oh, it's a rose farthing, just put a bit of text up quickly saying 16th century hammered coppers in the reign of Charles I. It doesn't take any time. And those, I think we're all a bit guilty of assuming that everyone knows what we're talking about. And
well, that's why you set up your other channel, I presume.
Well, that mainly for a bit of that, and for smaller videos all round, because you can't put small videos amongst the long ones that you've been doing, because YouTube just decide that you're not doing well enough, and they don't like it. So if I find one or two good things, then I can put it on that rather than pad out a video to make it 15-20 minutes of finding tut and boring stuff. There you go, Dave. That's
I actually recognize them mountains then.
it's the Chlamydian Hills or something.
Yeah.
Chlamydia.
It's not. It's called something. It's called Chlamydia. There it is. The Chlamydian Range.
Look at that country.
Chlamydian Range is something totally different that only Rob Random will be able to tell us about.
Oh, don't set him off. That looks lovely. Really, really nice.
It's pretty. It's really beautiful.
Yeah,
and that's half that's half of why we did. I like being out in nice places. Same as fishing and fossiling.
Yeah, I think That beautiful, really nice. No, your videos. What do you use to edit them? If you don't mind me asking.
Something called DaVinci Resolve. I did the iTunes thing for the Mac thing for a bit, but then you can only stack 2 or 3 layers.
Yeah.
But if you're using lots of text and sometimes, I mean, I might have 2 cameras, and then I've got the close-ups of the find. So you've got 3 videos stacked, and then if you want to put text on that, then there's 5 or 6, and unless you get a decent editing thing, it won't let you add all that. And then you might have 2 or 3 audio, and then bit of crows or something underneath that, and then a bit of soundtrack. You might have 4 or 5 audio tracks. I mean, I suspect some people have a lot more than that as well. That's what
I think. What do you use to video, Alexander?
I use 2 iPhones, an old one which is just knocking around, and the one I just have in my pocket. And then I use something called an Ape Man, which is a little GoPro type thing. And then with my first paychecks from YouTube, I bought something called a DJI Pocket 2, which is that's another small little camera which does quite good wide angle. And then if you do take 2 or 3 of those out with you, you get quite good at setting it all up. It doesn't take very long. And then the fun is stacking them all up and cutting between shots.
And I presume, what do your friends, more importantly, think of you doing this? Do they think you're mad, or do they think it's just a phase he's going through?
Do you know what, Adrian and Dave, they don't really care either way, actually, to be honest. I think, I mean, what about your friends who don't detect? What do they think?
They more importantly, my children who are grown up now, they used to just think, oh, it's one of those phases, because I've always been interested in things. So whether it's been kite flying, fishing, bowling, darts, snooker, you name it, I've done it all. And when I was 40, my friend who's in the chat, he put on Facebook, I've just brought a metal detector, I must be getting old. And I thought, I used to do metal detecting. My granddad did it. And I was in and out of it, a bit like a lot of hobbies. And I suddenly got back into it with a vengeance every weekend and weekdays. And since then, I've been doing it, well, all the time. But for me, my daughter just thought it's one of the things Dad did. My son just thought I was a complete idiot. But yet, when you come home, and I've been fortunate to find some...
With your gold nobles.
Yeah, medieval bishop's ring, which is
nice.
Still with a coronet and all stuff like that. Yeah. And then as they get older, they say, how old are those? And you sort of say, 700 years, 600 years, or Roman, 2,000 years. Is it worth money? And you sort of say, yeah. And then they look in Treasure Hunting magazine at the auction prices. And then they start, as they get older, they realise, I could buy a car with that. And not that's why we do the hobby. And then when I found a Roman ring a few years ago, and my daughter, I said, you're the first person to put that on your finger in probably 1,000 odd years. And then it starts sinking in. And friends of mine now are jealous. The hobby is blowing up. It's everyone's getting in. Since COVID, people walking, going out more. More and more people are looking at it probably as a cleaner, quicker, simpler alternative to fishing, and easier than shooting with licenses and safes. But like you said, you need to find the land, and that is where I feel sorry for a lot of people who buy a metal detector, read up on it, watch all the YouTubers like yourself, think this looks fantastic, and then when it comes to knocking on a farmer's door, it's hard. I've always said, someone knocked on my door now and said, can I metal detect in your back garden? No, sorry, I don't know who you are. You could have
I hadn't thought of it like that.
And I years ago did business cards, set up a little website for me and my friend with our finds, had the search agreement, and it seems to work. But what the best thing is, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So you said your brother's a farmer. He might know another farmer. And as long as you share your finds. So what I do is I create a WhatsApp group with the farmer, and I tell him where I'm going. I mark out all the fields. I've got it in my bag, actually, with all the numbers. I'm saying, I'm going to field 24 today. I'll be there this time. And at the end of the day, me and my mate WhatsApp in the finds. And if there's anything he wants, which they never do really, unless it's an old penknife or something which you wouldn't really think. But it's always because that could have been their grandfather's or but yeah, it's the. I mean, I was going to get onto that in the hobby. You've been detecting for 10 years. What do you feel are the sort of negatives that you've seen, and the things that you think could help it, out of interest?
I don't know. I mean that I have to have a bit of a think about that.
Yeah, because the negatives, the media love to portray us as treasure hunters and sort of a bit like night hawkers and stuff.
It's the same as the landowners have been convinced that we just go out and find gold in their fields all day long. I mean, it's a sort of, we know that that's not true, but if it is tricky. I don't know the answer to that.
It's interesting actually. The Dark Knight detectorist hunting history. A lot of us suffer with anxiety when it comes to asking for permission. So either it will be a yes or a no, but it's true because a lot of people who do take up the hobby may have mental health problems or anxiety problems. And to go and knock on a stranger's door.
I hate it. I have done that. But when I lived in Hampshire, I didn't have anywhere to detect. And I decided to, just to swallow my pride and just try and knock on doors. I really, really hated it. And I just got knocked back after knockback of, no, we don't really want you. Or, no, my dad likes doing it. And I just thought, I can't. No. I can't really be bothered. And yet I have seen, one of the places I go to in North Wales, a guy literally rocked up out of nowhere. I can't remember his name. He's a nice guy, actually. And he just knocked on the door, and the old man who owned the house answered it. And I was sort of in the garden. I kind of know the family. And he was brassy as you like. Never had anything like it. And he had the gift of the gab. And it was just assuming that he was going to be allowed to detect. And sure enough, the guy went, yeah, go wherever you like. Go, And he turned around and went, thank you very much. And the next day, a couple of days later, a whole team of them arrived in one of the fields, and he was charging everyone 10 quid or something to get into. I thought, God, you know how to do it. But he had he probably gets knocked back the whole time. But the way he went around, I thought, that's brave. And you've got to be brave. And I'm no good at it. I'm the first. I mean, I think got more chance of being friendly with someone in the local pub and doing it that way. He might just have an acre around the back of his house where he keeps horses. Who knows? I mean, I think, but the knocking on doors is hard work, and I didn't enjoy it. I'm no good at it.
Yeah, which brings me on to rallies. Have you ever been to Detectival or Rodney Cook?
No, I haven't. Not that I wouldn't, because I might do a couple of them this year. But it's mainly because I quite like just being out with my dog. I don't really detect to be. I have detected with other people, but literally a handful of times, and it's been quite good fun. But it's just quite nice. I like being by myself in the open.
Yeah,
and I'd probably be very jealous if I was in the middle of a field and everyone was finding stuff and not me. Of course.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like I love detecting on Christmas Eve, because everyone's rushing around like National Lampoons, taking presents everywhere. And my wife and my daughter work for the NHS, and my son just sits at home on his...
Christ, they must have had a tough time the last couple of years, haven't they?
Yeah, well, they work Christmas Eve, Christmas Day and Boxing Day this year. So I went out detecting Christmas Eve. I was going to go Christmas Day, but part of me felt weird because I just... Not that I care what people think when I'm standing in the field, but on Christmas Day, Mummy, Daddy, why is that man in the field on Christmas Day? But I enjoy a good old Christmas Eve detect. And you're right, it's just out there on your own, chillaxing. And, my daughter and my son go, are you going on your own? I was like, yeah. And all right, I do have a few ditch incidents. I had one just before Christmas Eve this year where I fell about 8 foot into a ditch when I thought it was only a foot high grass. But
you think we should be when you get to an age? I mean, I'm 50 this year. We should be detecting whether people with whether I might have a heart attack. I hadn't thought of that.
I know, but well, What a lovely way to go. That's why I look at it. It's like, as long as I turn the battery off on my machine and it's not flat. But it's it would be. I never thought of that. Shouldn't think of it like that. But yeah, it would be. Go Google.
Getting one of those alarm things or something.
Yeah. Well, Alexander, we're 50 this year. We're going to have to start wearing those.
Yeah.
And incontinence pads. I think rallies, Detectival, we're not quite sure on this year, but that's a big event that myself and Dave attend. Rodney Cook Rally. Have you heard of Rodney?
Yeah, that looked like a really nice one. I've seen lots of videos on that, and
that sold out. I think that sold out within 2 or 3 days. Nearly over 1,000 people, and all that money goes to charity. And Dave, we enjoyed that like we did Detectival, didn't we? That was really, really good weekend. But they're great social events, and it's money for charity at the end of the day. But it'd be nice to see you on one of those events, because there's a lot.
Would, because the likes of yourself, Alexander, who don't necessarily participate in public events, it's nice for us to go to these events and actually meet up with people that we only speak to on the show, who are guests in the chat room. People that we wouldn't normally see. It's nice to meet up and put names to the faces. It's and we have a great laugh though, and occasionally somebody brings me some cake.
Yes, there are tickets still available for the Rodney Cook Rally. £10 day. I'm not sure about the weekend tickets, but the day tickets, £10. They're still available if you go to rodneycookmemorial.co.uk. Big tickets. Not that I've set that up for them, Alexander. So that's why I know. But that sold out and has raised tens of thousands for charity. It's unbelievable. But Gary Cook, he comes on the show occasionally and updates us on that. But
very rarely.
Bless him, Gary. He likes to talk. But going back to detecting, have you done any YouTube videos on antiques or your taxidermy? Because we've spoken about detecting, but your taxidermy, that parrot behind looks amazing. That
he's new. So he was probably someone's pet at some point.
It looks like a bloody China model, doesn't it?
But then something like this, for example, believe it or not, that's probably 150 years old and looks like it was done yesterday. Wow. That's Victorian.
Wow.
And you see they quite like a bit of groundwork and a bit of sand, and then it's got a label on the back. That's what you should be looking for as well. I can't remember who it is. Yes, it's Gerard, who's a very well-known taxidermist. So that puts some value on that. And if it's well stuffed, it'll keep forever.
It is, because obviously a lot of people originally, some people think it's cruel, but the animal's actually dead before it's.
I think it's cruel if you shoot a tiger or something like that.
Yes, totally agree. What is the biggest animal? You said you've got 2 badgers.
I've got 2 badgers. Well, one now if I give you one.
I'll tell you what, because my grandfather used to have a lot of animals, stuffed. He had pheasants.
He collected them, did he?
Yeah. Well, I think he tried it once.
Did he?
I think he tried their cat, but it went like really wrong. I think he used like marbles with Tipex for eyes or something like that. But he did have 4 or 5. He had a large bungalow, huge bungalow, and the top floor was a loft, like his playroom. And he had lots of different animals. And I always remember as a child, he had what was it called? It was a type of bird, not a jay. It was like a jay. And it wasn't a magpie. Not a jay, not a magpie. It was the other one. It had a very long nose. It's quite rare. Anyway, it used to look at me and really freak me out. But they look so real. Is there an increase in demand recently for this, or is it
There
just
was quite an increase in demand, and there was also a massive surge of people doing it as well about 2 or 3 years ago, and they were mainly girls. And it's a messy job, taxidermy. You've got to skin things and tan skins and get rid of all the. I mean, basically, you're skinning the animal or the bird, removing all the insides, and then wrapping that skin around a preset model, which would look like the muscular structure of the animal, and that's quite a messy job. And there were a lot of people doing it still. Yeah, it's definitely had a resurgence. But I mainly deal with the older stuff. I don't do too much new stuff.
Where do they come from? Is it country homes or?
Well, of course, the Victorians and Edwardians loved it. So there is a lot of stuff in not necessarily country homes, but there was just a lot done by people like Gerard and Roland Ward and all the rest of it when taxidermy was in its heyday, sort of Edwardian times, sort of probably 1860 to 1910, 1920.
Have you tried it yourself?
No. I think I tried it with a squirrel when I was about 9. I had a book about how to skin a squirrel. And I got a razor halfway down its sort of tummy, and I thought, oh no, I'm not doing that.
That's the sort of thing I thought about when I was about 9 or 10.
I had a book telling me how to do it as well, and I thought,
I
shelved that fairly quickly. But I actually like it because there's another one. He's a German mouse, Victorian mouse.
Now that's not in glass.
So if he's German, is he not a mouse?
He is a mouse, Dave.
Mouser.
You're right. It says house mouse.
And does it need to be? Do they need to be in glass or
no? They don't. You've got to keep an eye on them if they're not in glass because moths will get them. The same thing that eats your clothes and carpets. That will eat skin and feather.
History revisited.
Tasky will have a go at them as well if he gets half a chance. Yeah.
History revisited. It's Mr. Jingles. Brilliant. The mouse off the Green Mile. Excellent.
We have waffled on a lot. Have people in the chat got any questions for Alexander?
We did have one earlier, and you're going to have to bear with me. Excuse me.
I've got a dead budgie for sale, not going cheap. That's from the time
I'll have it if he keeps it in the freezer.
Oh, right. Okay.
Put it straight in the freezer as soon as it's dead.
Sorry, Alexander.
You're ready to stuff it.
He said it's not for sale. It's not going cheap. I think it was a joke. I
don't think I want it then.
Out of interest, Alexander, how much would a stuffed badger go for? £500-600?
Anything between 30 quid to about £500-600, yes. So that'll be top whack.
£30, is that like a really badly done one?
It might have been stuffed very recently. I mean, there are a lot of badgers get stuffed because a lot of badgers get found.
Yeah,
I'd go on eBay, but don't buy taxidermy unless you see it. You've got to see it in real life before you can actually know that you're spending proper money on it.
I'd love one that's been badly done.
Yeah.
So
there's actually a Facebook page, Badly Done Taxidermy. There's a Facebook page.
There was a website, wasn't there? Yeah. Adrian, I'll find you a badly done badger. Leave it with me.
You probably don't know, but I'm a little bit scared of badgers. They're vicious. They're vicious.
They are. They can
be. Lovely.
We actually had a guest on a few months ago, Alexander, the National Metal Detecting Sport. What was it? Association of Metal Detecting. It's like the NCMD. And the chairman, I think his name was, I told him that 1,872 people a year are killed by badgers. And he believed me for a brief second. But
quite a high number.
Well, yeah. But I have been chased last in the summer. Detecting it was getting dark in dusk, and one chased me and my friend. It frightened the life out of me. It's huge.
It chased you?
Yeah, it's like a Doberman with short legs. It was and the teeth, and it was in the dark. And I don't know if it was it was trying to get back in its whole thing or what.
Yeah, I think they'll do more damage to terriers than foxes will. if they get cornered.
Oh,
Yeah.
vicious things.
A question from Gareth Howard.
Oh no.
Fast show related. If you're Ralph, who is your Ted? And have you managed to sort out the drainage in the top field?
Yes, good classic. Oh, you still putting your finds in those glorious antiques boxes, Alexander, from Eagle Eye?
Yeah, I do. I mean, the antique dealer in me has collected cabinets over the years, and I do use them. Yeah,
Because
I think that's really nice to use. They're too big for me to shift around at the moment, but it's nice. I like. Yeah, they're good to use. I think.
because
You can pick them up quite cheaply. Again, if they're not fashionable items of furniture, display cabinets and collectors' cabinets. So your local auction might have them for £50, £100 for a nice one.
it's interesting you say that. My father passed away the year before last, and he had a lot. He used to do metal detecting, and he had a lot of coins, and he wouldn't put them in a plastic wallet. He put them in lovely trays,
Lovely.
cabinets with glass tops, felt bottoms, lovely. And since I've got them now, and you open them up, and in the back they've got a lovely label made by so and so in London, and the address, and they're designed as display cabinets, but they're not fashionable.
Do the drawers run really nicely? And it's
beautiful!
Nice,
Fantastic!
Yeah, you're very lucky. Use them definitely.
Very well engineered, but they're not in fashion. But so they come up often, do they? In auction?
Well, there's one in my local antique shop in Royston I've got my eyes on because he wants too much money for it, but I know he's not going to sell it, and I'm just going to sit tight for another few months and then make him a cheeky offer because it's really, really nice. But unless it's people like you and I, you don't use them for birds' eggs anymore. That's illegal.
Actually, my dad used to have those.
People would collect, which people don't collect anymore. So they're all redundant. What do people use little tray-like cabinets for? So I mean, Saunders is quite close to you, the big auction house in Stansted. Go and have a look in there every now and again. I bet they've got nice cabinets.
Well,
Snap on do a good range, Adrian.
No. What's your best find, Alex? Facebook user. I think that's Simon Dempsey.
I don't think I've necessarily got anything that I would go higher than other things, but Celtic gold units, even though I've never found a full one. I've found several quarter staters. Celtic coins are my absolute favourite thing. And I actually bought that book before I even found one, thinking, British coins is a great book, that. And I thought, why am I buying this? I'm never going to find Celtic coins. But, if you're out there for long enough, especially if you're on the, where we are in the south, you do have a chance of finding them. And Celtic coins, I would say, are my favourite.
Greenlightpublishing.com.
Is that then?
Yeah, Greenlight. That's where it's available from. Yeah, Greenlight Publishing.
Good book, that.
Yeah. The Dark Knight Detectorist Hunting History says, thank you for sporting the little channels.
Well, I'm a little channel myself, Jason. So, I mean, we all got to support each other slightly, haven't we, I think?
Paddy's cameraman. Lots in Hampshire, Alex.
I was in Hampshire till about 6 months ago, and I came back to live in Hertfordshire, where I grew up.
Yeah, definitely.
Anthony Bentley, who did you write to last year? Because there have been a lot of changes with our website, with things going missing. So if it's to ourselves, ArkMD Mag or the Big Detecting Show, you get back in contact with us again. Things are fixed and working properly as they should be now, and I apologise if that was me that has missed that.
Can I apologise for not having read any of the chat or replied to it?
Don't worry, we will
available later.
Yeah. It's all there on YouTube.
Yeah.
Russian Digger asks, Alexander, according to our tradition, the guest must subscribe and visit all guests in the chat.
I did see that. That's why I mentioned I hadn't been concentrating on that.
Adrian, are there coins your father found that you'd love to dig up one day yourself? Yes, because detecting men was a C-scope that probably couldn't go more than 3 inches, and most of it was surface finds. But to be honest, every coin I dig, whether it's a 5-pence piece or a Roman silver denarii, I love everything I find. But my dad found things which were probably a bit, I don't know, like bayonets from the Second World War, how he found those in fields, a lot of military buttons, Roman bust he found, which was about that high.
Really?
Yeah, and that was in the back garden digging for vegetables. Yeah. So I think, like Alexander said earlier, things are slowly disappearing because of the hobby, but machines are getting better. So
do you know what? One of the bad thing is when you say about your father's finds, Adrian. Obviously, you know, my dad used to detect the pictures back in the 1970s. I've absolutely no idea of anything that he ever found. I got his metal detector, but I've no idea whatever he found.
My dad.
What was that then?
I don't know. That was back in the 70s when I was detecting. Well, going out with my dad. Obviously, I was 4-year-old and I was just dragging on the coattails with my uncle. So that was 1970s, and obviously I was still young, teenage, later on in the 80s. So I don't know if it's
he
because
didn't put them in cabinets or have a box full of.
I honestly don't know. Do you know he akin to many other people, he'd done so many things, fly fishing. He used to tumble rocks. He'd done all manner of things. He was. I've never known anybody who's never been trained, but made everybody's wedding cake professionally, and
really?
crocheted the most amazing things you've ever likely to see, shawls and whatnot. So I've just no idea where anything ended up. I really don't. The only thing I've got left are photographs.
Dave, you might have buried it somewhere. There's a hoard out there. Your dad's hoard of finds somewhere.
Oh,
it was in the back garden. I've dug that up 1,000 times when I was a kid.
Yeah, I did that in lockdown. Detected my front and back garden. Yeah, and I found some good stuff. Medieval purse bar in my front garden. Bishopsgate fish tokens. Found some good stuff actually, but yeah, it's weird though, because did your father detect? I presume not,
No.
Alexander. No. It's I think it's this schoolboy thing in us, isn't it? We just want to. It's adventure, isn't it? It's just we want to get
absolutely.
Anthony Bentley, if you could get back in contact with me, either editor@arcmdmag.com or dave@bigdetectingshow.com. I'll get back in touch with you ASAP. I'm not working this weekend, I don't think, so there's a bonus.
Dave, spin the coil.
Hold on. Seaside Sid detects. Do you have another half, Alex, or can you just go detecting when you want to and stay out as long as you want to?
I don't have another half at the moment. I've got a son who lives in Wales who's 5, and he's not big enough quite to come out with me yet. And he does look a bit bored when he does. So at the moment I can go out whenever I like, and I don't have to answer to anyone. And I've thought about this before actually, when people, I'm quite lucky. I can go out pretty much whenever I want at the moment, which is good.
There was a question there. Someone said, do you have another half? I've lost it. Someone said about you being a TV presenter. I've lost it, but Alex.
There's an antique guy called Paul Martin who I get mistaken for, and it's a bit annoying.
It was history. Alex, you need to get onto one of the TV stations. I could see you being on Sunday TV. Great viewing.
No,
and I second that. You could easily present a metal detecting channel, and I don't mean YouTube, because you do that. I don't know. It could be Pebble Mill 1 with Alexander detecting, but it's. But
Alexander, you might know somebody who lives 2 doors away from me, Adam Partridge.
Does he?
Yeah, he lives in Congleton, about 2 doors away from me.
Alan.
Adam Partridge.
Oh,
He's on all of Bargain Hunt and
Oh, him. Yeah, I know. I thought you meant Alan Partridge as well. No, I know exactly.
No. Adam Partridge.
Yeah, no, he's an auctioneer.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly who you mean. Yeah.
He owns an auction house in Macclesfield, and he lives.
That's
in
right. He was on all the antique shows for a while, wasn't he? I don't know.
Yeah,
if
he was.
If he still is.
I actually ran an event for charity, a metal detecting event, about 5 years ago, and Adam came down and he opened the event, and he actually had to go metal detecting himself, but I think he's far too busy for the likes of metal detecting.
Quick question for Alex from Paul Bancroft. Would you sooner find a coin or an artifact?
I don't really, to be honest, I don't really differentiate between them. I do if it's tangible, nice to look at, old, then it can be a Celtic or a Roman coin, or it can be, a medieval brooch or something. No, I don't really. I don't have a ladder of things like that particularly. No. It's just how it comes out the ground and what it looks like. There's things like thimbles and stuff. There's certain things that I think we all have, which I really don't care for. But most things I really do care for.
I find thimble. You get a child's thimble. Yeah. I find that fascinating. Small child's thimble, really small one. I think.
Yeah.
Wonder,
don't you? What have they been?
Yeah, sad, really. Dave, should we spin the coil?
Why the hell not?
Alexander, this is a thing we have on the show. It's like a 1970s spinning wheel from Bullseye or something, and it just has some random questions on there that we like to ask our guests. They're not rude. They're not anything.
They're not rude anymore.
No, I have removed. No, they weren't rude. There's the odd one, like what deodorant do you use? But I reckon Alex is a Lynx Africa man. Alexander, sorry.
I don't know. I don't know. I think he's Dove.
It's got to be Old Spice, hasn't it?
High karate.
I have had.
Right. Shall we?
I've actually got blue Stratus upstairs, Adrian.
Gosh. Tobacco for men. Right. Let's do a.
Here we go.
Let's see what question this comes up with.
I'll let you ask the questions tonight, Adrian.
Yeah, because they're a little bit... Well, I think we can answer that one. What's your preferred detecting permission?
Yeah, field. I just haven't done much beach. That's the only reason. I go down to North Devon in the summers, and I've had a quick go down there. But they're great big storm beaches. I don't think there's anything on them.
No,
but they did do a lot of army training on them, funnily enough. So you get lots of rifle rounds. Those storm beaches in North Devon, I think, were used as training for the Normandy landings, weren't they?
Yeah.
And also, there was a school of thought that if the Germans were going to invade, that they might come all the way around to those beaches and get in that way as well. So they were highly defended as much as they were useful. But I've never found anything good on them. So I'm afraid field.
Right. Hopefully this is one of the ones. Oh, that's a long one. Now, Alexander, if the hobby was to be licensed, how much would you be prepared to pay, or do you feel would be fair for an annual license to metal detect?
God, that's a good question. I suspect that people would get upset if it was more than about 25 quid for whatever reason. I think, if you actually break it down into days that you detect a year and how much pleasure you get out of each of those days, I'd probably pay more than.
Yeah, I agree. The hours.
50 quid? I don't think 50 quid's a lot to ask anyone to do it. But then where would the money go? We need to know where the money's going.
Yes, and a fishing license, it's not comparable to fishing because obviously water is a lot more harder to control, banks, erosion, fields, green waste. It's just something I feel in the future may arise in the next 5 or 10 years, and I was interested in your thoughts.
I don't think it's a bad idea in the slightest, providing we all agree in agreement where the money goes and who's going to be in charge of all that. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I think the politics behind it would be more complicated than the cost.
People don't like paying for anything these days, but I think if you look at the bigger picture, it's not a bad thing if the money's well spent at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay.
This is the future. They spend the coil, isn't it?
Ah, yes. Right. What drink do you take when you're detecting, Alexander? And that is alcoholic and non-alcoholic. If you,
I really don't. I mean, occasionally, if it's really, really hot, I'll take some water with me. But I detect very, very light. I mean, most of my stuff I carry with me. I don't even carry one of those what I call those girly spritzers, which people use. I don't. I have a spade, a pinpointer, bag with my camera and stuff in it, and that's basically it.
That's what my friend calls mine. He calls it my girly spritzer. It is a bit. Yeah. Okay.
If I were to carry another thing, I think I probably could do with a small trowel type object, but my spade's pretty good at that sort of thing. So,
right.
So no, I water if I need it.
I have lime and water.
Girly spritzer.
It's a Garrett carrot.
Okay, yeah. And you had it long?
Yeah, Adrian, that's all I've ever had. I mean, I haven't really even thought about getting anything else, quite honestly. Occasionally, I quite like going out without the pinpointer. It's not too wet. There was a time when I wouldn't bother if I'd forgotten my pinpointer. Now, actually, I find it more of a challenge if I accidentally go out without it. If it's really wet and you're having to break up the mud, no, I can't be bothered. But quite often, it's quite fun to leave your pinpointer at home if it's dry.
I agree. Use the coil.
Yeah.
You might win an Austin Maestro estate tonight. Yes. One of my favourite questions. Now, this could be a Tunnocks wafer wrapper from 1997.
God, I found some mad things like detecting. I can't, the top of my head, guys, I don't know.
Do you know what mine is, Adrian? The most random thing found, non-metal detecting related.
No.
I was up in Rochdale, and I think I'm right in saying that they'd had a battle reenactment thing on the site previously, and I came home with about 8 different ammunition holders and jerry cans and such like.
Did they?
Oh, wow.
And I gave them to somebody, and actually he was building a new trike, and he used all of these building his trike to make like an army trike.
Oh wow! Oh, good. Recycling. Mine was made of latex, black, and about 12 inches long. I won't go into detail.
You already have, mate.
Yeah, but yeah, that was quite strange.
Yeah. No, off the top of my head, I'll always think about that question now when I go out and I'm looking.
We do have random finds.
We do.
Oh, that's a hard one.
I bet you've got a multitude of books as well, Alexander.
Do you know what? Very few on detecting. I collect ornithological bird books. I collect history books, but I don't actually. I've got Spink, the coins, and I've just acquired a Hattat's brooches, volume 2, which I'm really pleased with. But I don't have that many. That I'm working my way through at the moment.
Ooh.
I can't see that, Adrian.
You can find them in paperback, but there's a chap on the Detecting Hub very kindly alerted me that he had a spare for sale, and it is.
Oh, Nice.
It's his collection, and it's all drawings.
Wow,
That's something to
lovely.
drool over, isn't it? But I don't have that many books. But I will. I've got too many other things I'm collecting at the moment. I can probably put that on the back burner for the time being. What about you? What are your favourite detecting books?
I
think mine has still got to be. Is it the Gordon Bailey books? The Defiance Identification books by Gordon Bailey. Am I right in saying that's his name?
Yes, Gordon Bailey. He lives not far from me.
Absolutely fantastic collection. Got them all in PDF, but don't tell anyone.
My favourite one. Hang on. Everything falls down. My favourite book is that one, and this is by the Norfolk Wolf, and it's an old book. Bless him, he's passed away now, but he goes back to the basics, and a lot of things. I highly recommend that book. It's not big, but it. How can I put it? You read it and think you're doing everything right, and you know everything. You've got all your programs, but it relates to the weather. It relates to soil conditions. It doesn't matter whether you've got a.
And who's the author again? Norfolk Wolf. It's
the Norfolk Wolf. Wolf, which bless him, he's passed away now. I've forgotten his name, but it's available from Greenlight Publishing .com. But I'm trying. It's falling apart. Actually, look, it's falling apart. Oh, you can't see it. I've forgotten the guy's name. Awful.
Here's mine, Adrian. Oh, you can see it.
I quoted him. Yes.
Oh, nice.
That's nice.
Well, now I know what to get to start my library.
Mate, if you're going to do that, you'll want these three. Oh, God.
Dave, will you send me an email with your
Adrian,
your recommendations?
Adrian, finds identify 1, 2, and identify and detector finds. Send me
Alexander, I think have you got those finds?
No, I haven't. I'm waiting. Thank you very much.
That's all right. You should receive those. But the Norfolk Wolf, I feel really bad. I've forgotten his name, but he was one of the first people to test the XB Deus when it came out. And 12, 13 years ago. But great book. Little things like when there's been a thunderstorm, there's going to be more electrostatic charge in the ground, which will help you detect. And little tiny things like that. And also, we go out there, we rely so much on our machines, whereas we forget. A lot of people don't swing properly. They don't plan out the permission properly and everything. So yeah, that's my favorite book. I read that, and the way he writes as well is this.
I'll look that up. I'll find him.
Yeah, Norfolk Wolf. I forgot. I feel really.
Is it
bad.
Nick? Someone? John Lynn? Greg Payne?
John Lynn. Gareth Howard said.
John
Lynn. Thank you, Gareth.
I'm spending all this time not being able to see. I can read now. John Wolf, aka Norfolk Wolf. Yeah, great book. But John Lynn. Yeah. But yeah, there's lots of good books. Have we finished Spin the Wheel now, Dave? Sorry.
Yes, because it's 9:25. Would you believe?
Blimey, crikey.
I've got to let the dog out.
I think mine's my housing manager and daughter are sorting that out. Yeah. Alexander, just a quick one. Your YouTube channels before people forget.
Holtzhammer Sagas for epic, heroic detecting days. And then Metal Detecting Finds, which is mainly just for smaller videos. It could be any short content, whether it's cleaning hammered coins to finding one really good thing, not having to pad a whole video out and just discussing that thing, or just anything between sort of 5 and 8 minutes long.
Yeah.
And it's a bit experimental. I'm just going to see how it goes.
Well, keep up the good work, because
thank you very much.
I very much enjoy watching your videos, and that's not because you're on the show. many other people I've spoken to have really enjoyed watching them. It's a different spin on the hobby. It's like someone said in the chat, it's refreshing. You haven't got animated GIFs here flashing a brand or a manufacturer. It's just you in the field with your dog, finds, and going home and talking about them, and it's really nice and relaxing to watch.
And as most people know, I don't watch YouTube videos very rarely. Only a handful, but you're within that handful.
Thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. Thank you very much for having me on. It's been good fun. I've enjoyed that.
Dave does the Book of Faces. I don't do the Book of Faces. I'm on it, but I can't be dealing with all that.
Yeah, but you understand TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, and I don't even know how to spell them.
Instagram, Alexander, you got an Instagram account?
Yeah, I do mainly for my antiques. I sell more antiques on Instagram than I do.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good for that. And I do have a detecting channel as well, but I don't really do much with it. I don't find it's very.
What's your antiques Instagram? Out of
AVW Antiques. It's not just antiques; it's more just general what I get up to. But it's where I put good bits of furniture and taxidermy and stuff on as well.
Antique dog baskets I saw, which
I'm making them. Get your orders in. I'll do you one cheap.
If it's wooden, it will probably get gnawed away.
Yeah, but, it's quite thick wood. It's hard to gnaw.
Yeah, but a really good idea. Antique dog baskets. I quite like because there's nothing worse than that Chinese plastic thing in the lounge that smells. Yeah. So antique, and you can
I bought the original one.
I thought you were talking about the housing manager there.
Shush. No, but yeah, I saw that. So sorry, what was it?
AVW Antiques.
Antiques, and you have a shop. Sorry.
I'm getting told off by the Dark Knight Detectorist for not watching enough YouTube. I wish there was more hours in the day. I really, really do.
Yeah, I think it's like all these things. There are great YouTube channels and some which are boring, but I'm
out of the house from 5:15 in the morning till gone 6, 7 o'clock some nights. So my time is valuable to family and such like, and trying to sort out the website and things.
Yeah, I just
drink tremendously well.
I just drink a lot, metal detect a lot, and go to work to pay my mortgage.
There's one more thing I need to ask, Alexander, which I did forget. The composite cleaning pencil range. I believe you're playing with that at the moment.
I have been doing a lot with this, and I've come up with some fairly. I'm going to do a video on it when I'm confident that I know exactly what I'm doing. But what I'm most impressed about so far is the magic juice. And he won't tell me what's in it, but it is very good. No, not that, the liquid.
Oh, this. Yes. Yeah.
I've got it somewhere. I don't know that you can keep reusing it. Mine goes very green and dirty quite quickly, but I need another bottle. I've gone out already. It does a very nice job of you just don't feel it's attacking the object at all, whether it's a coin or a brooch or that's the stuff.
I've actually left something in here for.
Well, I wouldn't leave anything in it for too long because it goes.
It's been in there since 5 o'clock.
If it's copper base, it'll turn that green as quickly as lemon juice does.
Well, this wasn't.
Hold on, Adrian. Hold on. There you are.
This was just a really awful claggy button.
Yeah.
And I've literally just taken it out.
I'm dying to know what's in it. He won't tell me what's in it because I asked him. But
it doesn't smell toxic.
No, it doesn't. No, it's not at all. But I tell you what, it's interesting. It's salty. I'm trying it. No, it's. But I tell you what's interesting about it though. If you put it on your fingers, it's got a bit of an oily film to it.
Yes. It's all right. I'm a little bit blown away with the detail that's come up in that button. that
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
been-
it's brilliant. I mean,
Yeah.
I found a brooch when I was out
Yeah.
detecting with Kath, and really lovely medieval, not brooch, buckle, beautiful one. Don't have it to hand, and I dumped it in that. It had a little bit of mud and all the rest of it, and it's come out absolutely. You know when you put that you accidentally put tap water on stuff, and you can feel it almost immediately. It just doesn't. That doesn't eat
Hardens
into it
up.
or anything. But it's
Yeah.
This stuff just. It's magic, that stuff. I need a proper, none of that girly spritzer type. I need a proper litre bottle of the stuff.
Yeah, it's you're right. It's like a soft. It's like a fabric conditioner almost.
Mr. Dempsey is messaging me here. He says it's
It
all
doesn't taste
organic.
as good.
It's all organic. It's normal to turn green, and you can reuse it. Don't forget, you can reuse it.
Yeah, that's what he says. Yeah, I mean, I quite like the idea of mine went very green and dirt, but I hadn't washed anything necessarily, all the mud off stuff. I think it's good stuff. I'm really impressed with that. So anyhow, I'm going to be doing one on this very soon. I've got a few more tricks and things to try and sort of equate myself with it. But
I think he's missing a trick saying you could use it again. If I was making that, I'd just say no, you've got to throw it away and buy more. But Graham Dempsey's he's a very nice guy, and he's
very,
very
nice
use it again. But I am going to need more of it. I need to get a proper order of big bottles of the stuff.
Alexander, thank you ever so much for coming on the show tonight. It's been an absolute
pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been really good fun. I've really enjoyed it.
Good.
And if you ever want to come back on the future, give Adrian a shout because he's obviously got his email address. Yeah. And you're more than welcome to come back anytime you want. It's been fabulous speaking to you tonight.
Guys. Thank you very much. That's really good fun.
No, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Well, that's
sort out the badger. Sort out the badger.
That's not a euphemism.
I'll get you a badger. Trust me.
We also haven't announced tonight, Adrian. The NCMD have got a app about to launch. Oh, he's gone. Oh, he's left. Oh, he's back again.
You can go. You can go. It's all right.
I think I gotta better take my dog out.
You take care, Alexander. Take care.
Thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated. That's been really fun. Bye.
Take care. Good night. The NCMD have got a app that's due to launch. Also, don't forget there are multiple places that you can get your metal detecting insurance for the up and coming year. And the Nocta Macro Legend. There's been a photograph taken by Dilek today with all the boxes, which by the looks of it are due to start being released to the suppliers. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. I think some people have commented the boxes are empty because they're open, but they might be. But you're not going to make boxes if you haven't got a machine ready. So, yeah, it's imminent. It's imminent. It'll be out there, and it'll be very, very interesting.
There is more big news on the horizon in the world of metal detecting that we're not privy to speak about. I think Adrian knows separately to myself, but more big news on the horizon for metal detectorists in the country. Don't forget all the events that are coming up. You've got your Joan Allen event, you've got Detectable, you've got the Rodney Cook Memorial, last minute tickets on there. Just Detect UK was sold out, but you never know, something else might pop on there. So don't forget all your keep an eye out for social media, and we'll give everybody a shout out if any events are coming up. So Adrian, absolutely fantastic guest tonight.
Yes, thank you, Alexander. I forgot his name.
You're getting tired now, aren't you?
Do you know what? We got this badger thing, border collie badger, as a puppy. It's waking at 5:15 in the morning, going to bed at 10 at night, and sleeping a lot in the day. So it's like a child, but
It sounds like me, Adrian, going to bed at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's you. Yeah, you. But I'm a bit tired, but I've got the Atrex to play with this weekend with its multi-frequency again, and I've got loads of custom bits on my Equinox, and then we got the Deus 2, which I've lent my mate, and he's enjoying that. So,
I've got a new machine. What is it? That lovely Staffordshire Searcher Shane. He's handed down Vanquish 540.
Well, good. Very good. Congratulations to Shane for finding a hoard as well.
Yes, Shane and Steve this week, they've been down to the Stoke, the Hanley Museum, where he said the Staffordshire Horde is currently residing as well as the Leek Thrift Talk Horde. That's Steve Tomlinson and Joe Cania. Remember? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's on show there at the moment as well.
I think
you know the one I pass every day. The site.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's on show at the moment, and they have a horde confirmed, and not just the coins, but there's a lot of additional items as well.
That's good. That's really, really good. And you've got a Vanquish 540 now, which is a cracking machine for you, Dave.
Oh,
You will be this time next year, mate. You'll be covered in gold.
Oh, mate. Well, maybe not gold. Maybe like copper.
No. You'll have a gold torque around your neck like that, and you'll be called Gold Dave, or the Vanquish Master.
That sounds better.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we go to bed? Not together.
Yeah.
Well, we're not Morecambe and Wise.
Well, the driver's picking me up from the studio in 5 minutes, so we've got to clear up and everything, makeup off. Yeah. So thanks everyone for watching.
And we will see you same time. Yeah.
Give us a thumbs up, because we have a lot of viewers, but not many thumb it, and they probably
we've had quite a few tonight from different places.
Yeah, but
we've even had some loves.
I'm to blame, because I quite often watch a YouTube channel and think, oh, I really like that. I'll never click the thumb, but it just makes me and you think, oh, it's worth us staying up on a Thursday night till 9 o'clock.
Miss Emmerdale.
Sorry?
Miss Emmerdale.
Oh, we don't get that down here. We only get EastEnders.
That's because it's proper Northern soap, not that.
Coronation Street, we get on Sundays. It's an omnibus, but it's in black and white, and it's got subtitles.
That's because you're behind the times down there. You
no. It's just not. No one watches it.
Keep your day as twos. We've got colour tellies.
Night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Be good.
Night,
Stay safe with all the weathery malarkey.
Yeah.